You are the Holy Grail, the Magdalene. Woman, no need to search any longer. The priestess of wealth.
Welcome to the Women Arising podcast, where we elevate and celebrate inspiring women on the rise. In this podcast, we talk to women from all walks of life about their soul's journey, the obstacles they overcame, and how they embody their feminine power. We hope to elevate women's place in the world, showcase their contributions, and provide inspiration for all women to rise to their fullest potential. Today, our guest is Sandy Rueve, an inspired bead maker and astrologist who is able to transform a raw substance into a true talisman, all while using the power of the planets to harness auspicious moments into tangible, intentional art. Sandy has been a long-standing leader in Women Arising, and we are very proud to have her as our honored guest. Welcome, Sandy. It's our true pleasure to have you here today.
Hey, Kathy,
Hello.
it's nice to see you again. And Zeffie, my friend, hugs and kisses to you.
Thank you for being part of Women Arising again. This is
Again, from
again.
Yeah,
the domestic Sedona to the international of all women around the world. Mhm.
absolutely. And Women Arising's been very lucky to have you participate in our programs over the last several years. You've been very integral to our work because you've done a lot to create empowering spaces for women. And with that in mind, I'd love to start off with our first question, which is, when you hear the term women arising, what does that mean to you? Like, what images, emotions, or experiences does it evoke for you? And how does it resonate with your personal journey?
Women arising, it's not women rising, right? I like the fact that there's an A in there. It's kind of a softer, we're not here, I believe, in the feminine role to be masculine, right? That we can slowly, and I don't mean in a slow process, but we can just show up. We arise when we need to. We can move to the side when we need to. And I really think that when we can understand that this is woman, single, but as everyone can have their own individual arising, as a team, as other women, with other women. And I think that's what Zeffie has done over the years, is to bring women together, to go into that sacred journey
Yeah.
that again, here we go into my astrology and my belief system of, our souls picked our charts, our souls picked, this is a reoccurring soul that we have, and it attaches to different energies and different body types and different situations, different religions, different cultures. But it's the soul that wants to be a female in this lifetime, right? That we want to help. And I do believe that I'm getting a sense right now that, um, the women, I don't know, if we've ever done past life work, is, we could have been a man in a past life. We could have been a woman. We've probably been both multiple times. And it's like, why are we rising now? It's because we have this ability to be recognized, to be noticed, and we don't need other people's help, right? We can do it from within. And I think that's kind of that quietness of power, right? We don't need to wield a sword. We don't need to go to the gun shop, right? We want to do it with peace, with love, with care, with nurturing. And that support is that rise of rising, right? It's more prominent, and it's not jerky. Like rising is like something is needing to be battled. And this is just, we just easily and beautifully and gracefully show up and show our strength, right? One of the sayings is, women were connected to and built to give birth, right? Which is one of the hardest things that a woman chooses and gets to do, in that. So we arise, and once we have this child, have this pregnancy, it's like we can choose to go through with it, and that's the battle. that we fight inside ourselves, right? Whether we've chosen to have kids or not. So, you know,
Can you something about your life journey?
yeah. So my life journey, kind of, I was thinking about some of the questions this morning, and I was like, how far should we go back? And I thought, you know what? It's my story. I can tell the story. I can start when I want, right?
Absolutely.
And that's the other thing. We all have a story. Right? So
Yeah.
no one can box us in to say a particular, section. The story comes, of course, I was born in a very Catholic, conservative part of the United States in Ohio, and kind of raised there, and didn't really see what was out there in the world, the changes, the differences, the cultures. And and now that I know my, as an astrologer, my chart, it's like that's all I wanted. But I was boxed in, right? I was held, but I was growing up. And so, of course, the women's movement that I watch back now, Lily Tomlin and Jane Fonda, who I did get to meet at one time. I was too young for that women's movement, the 60s, and the 70s movement. But I wanted to be a part of it. I wanted to be a hippie. So I wanted to show my independence and do what I wanted, but my mom would not allow me to do it, be a hippie. So, I got married, I started having kids, doing the typical thing that my age group did at that time. But throughout the marriage, I realized it wasn't exactly what I thought marriage would be. It was a kind of volatile place for me, and I learned that I needed to get strong. And I think strength for me is the number one, advice piece I would give to a woman, someone's younger than me. And of course, I have a son and a daughter, and certainly she is way stronger than I was at her age. Um, but that is the sign of the times as well. But I knew I needed to get strong. So I thought the only strength I had that I had control of was, going to the gym, getting a personal trainer, lifting weights, um, you know, you know, building my endurance so that so that I can fight for myself, so I can stand up for myself, that if I ever got pushed, that I could, stay strong and sturdy, kind of like that bull, like don't push me around. And so it was by doing that strengthening of my body that I didn't expect that I strengthened my mind.
Mm.
I didn't expect that. I'm getting total chills right now. That when I strengthened my mind and knew that I had control, that's when I could make better decisions. I could make me decisions,
Mm.
right? And not just, I'm a Pisces, but I not just going with the flow, going along my flow. And I think that might be, as I look at women my age, that are feeling, as I instruct and help and sell talismans to, that there's a fear or a lack of strength. There's lack, and that they don't believe in themselves, that they don't have the what it takes, right? That endurance, the patience, the goal to set yourself on a goal and stay there.
Mm.
So I think really that was um, my biggest change. And once I gained my strength, and once I gained my emotional mind, spiritual strength, I had the purpose to get out of the situation I was in.
Mm.
And then that led me to a rise,
Mm.
right? Versus being kept down,
Exactly.
right?
Wow.
To be more hidden, where I didn't talk about things, where it was just, that old adage, you make your bed, so sleep in it. That kind of, it was like, no, I can change. I can change. I can get a new comforter. I can get a new fresh sheets, new fresh start. And that's what I did.
I
Go ahead.
just love that the journey and strength and the power of that thought of how we strengthen one part of ourselves, we strengthen another part, and then that gave you that power to rise up. How did you choose your path, and what obstacles did you kind of encounter
And
along the
so
way that you had to overcome?
Well, that was kind of some of the overcoming obstacles where I thought, I had to sit in my place that I chose. I was to do this, I was working 3 part-time jobs, raising 2 kids. It was, kind of the battle that my battlefield um, provided for me. And so I was up for I was up for it, right? I was like, this is my life. I will take it on, and did what I did. And then at some point, um, I didn't want to I didn't want anybody else to give me rules. I wanted my own independent rules. I wanted to make my day. I wanted to find that passion of doing what I wanted. So I started my own business. And it was really cool because interesting that I mean, my dad was my biggest cheerleader. He had his own business for all his life, and of course, my mom is more of the the you know work 9 to 5, work 40 years, and then get your retirement. So there was this diversity. Do your own thing. No, stay with the company, right? And so that's why I'm daddy's girl. I went to do my own thing, um, and built and started this jewelry business. And I literally called it. And so this is at the time when I was working for the Bulls. I was in radiology, which is so weird. I want to make a quick comment about this. So I got into radiology when I broke my arm in 7th grade as a cheerleader. And we went in, my arm was hanging down, and we went in and x-rayed it. And the x-rays were thrown up on the view box, and it was like, you can see inside your body? Like like you
Yeah.
that's so cool. You can see inside your body, and it's so funny because I think about this now, and I have these thoughts that had a really cool witchy woman live next door to me that was into concoctions, and enchantress and a priestess like Zephy, right? That would teach me how to look inside the body, like astrology does. But instead, I went to the radiology and did the looking inside the body through what was stuck, what was broken, what had dis-ease, right? So I started that when I was in 7th grade. So I then move forward. Then I became part of the medical team for the Chicago Bulls basketball team in Chicago, where I lived during the 90s when it was, Michael Jordan, Dennis Rodman, all my buddies, all my friends. And so I was the girl in the locker room. And so, yeah, that was definitely a masculine, and really the women that were involved in that, say in that stadium, in that arena were usually, all beautiful in their high heels with their makeup and hair and jewelry. And here I'm the working lady, right? I'm the working lady in the Bulls locker room. And it was really in doing radiology. And one day, when I first got there, Michael Jordan, kind of protected me. He kind of said, "Guys, we got a woman in the locker room now. You don't mess with her. You come through me if you want to interact with Sandy." And so he kind of protected me, which is why whenever I do get to see him, we're still buddies. But he asked me to make him beads. And it was so interesting that here is the famous, he was the most famous person probably in the world at that time, is asking me to do something for him. And I'm like, make you beads? And he said, yeah, make me beads. I'll wear them. And I thought, okay, well, I had clay in my basement, not the basement floor, but I was a crafter. And so I had all kind of crafts in my basement. And so I was learning to make these clay beads that he wanted me to make him. And I had no talent, or I thought I didn't have a talent or a skill. And there was no internet at that time in the early 90s. And so I just kind of automatically figured out how to do these millefiori art pieces called, and they're polymer clay that I made patterns into. So I gave it to these are just a quick story. I gave it to Michael for his birthday. The rest of the Bulls started wearing them. They started winning. I started my first company called He Beads, because I was making beads for men.
That's so interesting.
And then I thought, if I'm gonna try and make money at this as a side gig, I really need to approach the women, right? Where the women are the ones that are usually the jewelry wearers. And so I incorporated my business as she beads,
Mm.
she beads. And so for 20 years, for 20 something years, I became internationally known. I was flying around the world. I had stores in Australia and Japan and England, and so here is she, right? I really wanted it to be a verb that she was doing something, and so
Mm.
be can be a noun because it's a thing, right?
Yeah,
But it's also a verb. It's an action,
it
right?
is.
Because I was doing the beading, and because I was making my own beads. And I really liked that story. I hired all women, only women. I had 40 employees. Um, and we sold she beads around the world. Um, Now, I closed that business when I got into astrology because I know now um, that I'm here to make intention beads.
Mm.
That's the name of my current company. And I think this is the one I'm taking down with me uh, when I leave, because intention beads, like you mentioned at the intro, are inspiring, auspicious
Mhm.
talismans. That's what these are. Talisman. Let me describe my definition is a sacred art object, often made in clay, that is made at a certain time. Of course, we use astrology. It's magic. It's hermetic magic. Um, for a definite reason by a spirited creator. And this, this, if it's what we want to call alchemy, we want to call it a medicine that, we don't ingest, but we repeat an intention and an affirmation. We repeat a new belief,
Mhm.
right? I know I see Zeffie's got her Women Are Rising talisman bracelet on. Uh, yeah, yeah.
I have
And
mine too when I
yeah,
run.
and one sets, and that's what I did for Women Arising, as you invited me
Yeah,
beautifully
it's
as a
amazing.
speaker and made the talismans for everyone because we can rise, we can arise, we can arrive, right? We don't have to be boisterous. We can do this with feminine beauty, gentleness, but being proud,
Yeah,
being proud people.
I love it.
So the next question is, describe a time when you felt the most connected to your feminine essence and power. And what insights do you gain from that experience? Because, you know, you're getting there. We're getting there. I can feel it.
Yeah, probably once I got divorced, and it was very quick. I was lucky to go through a 6-week period of uh, the divorce proceedings. So that was beautiful. And then when I kind of came out of it, it was very, very different, right? Because I had been married for 24 years, dated the same person for 6 years. And so I was with this person for 30 years. And it was kind of that like abrupt feeling of freedom, right? I remember getting in my car, putting the top down, and just like driving as fast as I could on a straightaway to feel the breeze in my hair, to feel that I have certainly have responsibilities. I had my business, I had my kids, but feeling the fact that I was in control of myself. And that probably, as I remember that being, and then first buying my first house by myself, right? Which is, I'm still in this house.
Ah.
And knowing that I got to have everything my way. And I just remember it took me a while to move into the center of the queen size bed, right? Moving into the center, because one of the things I wanted, like I said, it was kind of a very abrupt, um, frightening marriage, and that I never slept well. And so I really wanted to have my pillow as my best friend so that I could really sink into my rest, my sleep, and my healing, which is best done
Mm.
when we go to sleep. So that was probably the fact that I got to sleep solidly through the night, um, after not doing so for many years,
Mm.
is having peace of mind.
I love that. I love that that peace of mind is connected to that feminine power and that sense of kind of relying on yourself, buying your own house, taking up all the space in the bed and like kind of claiming your space. I find that really powerful and like just an amazing journey that you went on and how you kept finding your space as you go along. And with that in mind, I'm curious, have there been any instances like where you felt marginalized or overlooked because you were a woman? And like, how did you deal with that and to be able to assert your presence?
You know what? I have to say no. I mean, maybe felt a
Amazing.
lack. Maybe feeling a lack when I was first married, thinking that I had to play the married role, you know,
Right.
I think we all can say something about that role that's, attributed to new brides or, new marriages. But no, not really. I'm a Leo rising with Jupiter Pluto on my ascendant. It's like, I feel big.
Yeah.
um, Sometimes I get bigger than I wanna be, meaning, like, body-wise, so I've always got that in check, but, I've always felt like I had this exuberance and this beautiful energetic that I can lead, I can help people along. I've always felt that way. So to be marginalized, that I was put in a box, and maybe it was because I really wasn't working so much in the corporate world, because
Yeah.
even when I was with the Bulls, I was still in, I was the only woman, right? So it was kind of like, and with Michael Jordan protecting me, I really didn't feel like separate.
Right.
And I felt like one of the guys, one of the gang, because you had to have certain credentials to get into the locker room. And so I was part of it. I wasn't separate. So I really never felt that way. And I think that has a lot to do with one's um, astrology chart, for one. Yeah,
Well,
I
I think
do.
that's special too, because I think that's unusual. I think most women have experienced levels of sexism in their lives and like to kind of come into the world with that, like that's a real beacon that you are putting out there, which is kind of an amazing perspective to be able to share. So,
And
um,
I think maybe that part of that I feel like I can do anything, right? That kind of feeling, and in whether that's, I felt that as a young girl. I mean, you know what, my mom and dad, my mom's still on the planet, still always says, "Gosh, Sandy, you always had she calls me the great spirit." And so it was like, "Oh gosh," even when I was 10 years old, like, you thought I had this spiritual connection?
yeah,
Because certainly, again, living in this area, and I'm here with my mom right now in Ohio, is very conservative, doesn't really believes in strict religion, um, doesn't really believe in independence and differences. It's very conservative. It's a very Republican, town. So they don't, and I'm the one that goes out into the world, goes to Greece, going to Egypt that we wanna talk about in a little bit, the Egypt trip with Zeffy and, myself. And I bring back the goods, I bring back the information, I bring back the cultures. I bring that back to my family here in Ohio, and I really think that's kind of one of my purposes for me being the oldest in this family, is
gotcha.
to bring different perspectives back here, um, for people to grow a little bit more, like bringing different fruits and bringing the beautiful honey from Greece, and where they've never had that before because they get the stuff at the store, right? So that that expansive nature, when we can find that expansive and its Jupiterian nature of, we are all one in the same world. Right? We
Yeah,
just chose a different religion or a different family or a different part of the world, a different language, but we are all human. And that, to me, I can feel like I can go anywhere in the world by myself and feel that I belong, even though I don't understand what's the language on the airport walls, but I feel like I can find my way.
it's
And I
amazing.
think maybe once I got out of that entrapment, possibly, um, there was no stopping me. And still, I
Mhm.
work 100% all the I'm coming up to another birthday in a month, and I'll be 68 years old and I don't feel or I don't think I look, and I think it's my energetic that's coming out through me. And I believe in women and I support them and I'm the cheerleader. I cheer them along, particularly with my talismans.
I love it.
Yeah. It's amazing. You can answer the question that the next question is coming up, but I'm gonna like go more into depth with it. So when you look back, what kind of guidance and advice you took as a young woman, and how it has influenced you in your journey? But you kind of answered it, but we want more of a
Well, I'm glad you asked that again because since I'm back here in my you know home my house that I grew up in, I was asking my mom for this doll. She bought me this for my 16th birthday. I've never forgotten it, and we can't find it. She thinks she's kind of gave it away, but we were looking for it the other night. It's this like cloth doll that and it was like I was 16. One part of it was the Little Red Riding Hood with a dress on it, and then you turn it around and you take the bonnet off, and it's the grandma. The whole story of Little Red Riding Hood went to visit her grandma, and the big bad wolf showed up. And then you turn the doll upside down, put the skirt over, and it's the big bad wolf.
wow.
Yeah, so she bought this for me, and on the skirt in a magic marker, this is this may make me cry, but this is my advice. She wrote, and this is my mom. I'm like,
Mhm.
wow, mom, I love it. She says, Sandy, life is before you like new fallen snow. Be
Wow.
careful how you tread it, for each step will show.
Wow.
And so that has given me this thought of, if we're looking at our life as this highway or, a straight road that's not straight, right? It's totally not straight. But, yes, we have to exit off this road, our life path, our destiny passage. If we exit off, whether it's to get some gasoline or to go get a burger or some food or some rest, don't stay off that exit too long,
Mm.
right? Go off and come back on so that you're not too far away from your destiny. And that's what that message at 16 gave to me. It was like, you could go off the exit and get into some drug abuse or, getting in with the wrong crowd. And then when you do, if you're able to find the reentrance onto your highway, you may have an addiction, you may have lost your car, you may be like you may have lost some things along the way because you exited and stayed off too long and made bad decisions over there. You might have a child, right? You might have a disease. You may never get back to that highway again, right? So it's kind of like be aware of the steps you take, and are these can a lot of spiritualists like us can time travel. I can time travel. And so I can know that if I make this one decision here, how will I feel when I get there? Will I have an exit? Do I have an exit strategy? Am I going alone? Do I have my money? Do I have my car keys? It's kind of like I can see in advance to see that, nope, I'm not going to take this opportunity because I don't like the feeling I have when I future look into it. Um, and so I think we all can do that, is imagine. Like, that's really what time travel can be, is this psychic ability to imagine and if you don't have pessimistic ideas, if we don't have a lot of negative connotations and we're seeing things as imaginatively possibly real, then we can get that sense of, ooh, you know, this isn't for me. I'm not going down that path. I'm not getting off my highway for that,
Mm.
right?
I
But we have
love
we don't always know what we get off the highway for. But, you know, just know
But
that
I
we
love
too far. Yeah, I mean, it's, kinda like in whenever, because I am in snow country in Chicago when I'm back home or and even in Cincinnati, is you see every step you take in a
Yeah.
snow on the snow path. Um, and I look at that a lot and, we feed the birds here, and so mom's like, "Oh my gosh, we had snow a couple weeks ago," and it's like, "Oh, look at somebody was c what animal was that that came up and ate the bird food because it's not a bird that he would have flown."
Right, because you could see.
So that's kinda what reminded me to say, "Mom, where's that doll you gave me
I
about
love it.
walking in the snow path? Like, we can follow those steps."
I think those metaphors are extremely powerful because, that idea of like every step, you can see all your steps, like that to be intentional. I love that your company's intention beads, right? Like there's this sense of being intentional. And I love that this is how you grew up, that this was a message that you had as a young person, because it seems like that's a big part of your journey is that intention. And then I love this metaphor of the highway because it's true. Life is a little like a highway, right? There's a song like, and we're going pretty fast
Life
sometimes.
is a
And
highway, yeah.
yeah, like, and kind of there are destinations and there are many paths, and it's just a great way to sort of think about some of that.
Yeah, and
Um,
your vehicle is your body, right? It
yeah,
holds your soul. So, yeah, sometimes there's a pileup, sometimes there's traffic, sometimes it's a speedway, it's a easy Sunday afternoon, drive. But, being at your own wheel, if we're gonna use that metaphor, to be in control of your own wheel while you're able to play music, turn the turn signal on, have a conversation, put the windows down. Again, that again, interesting that we're bringing this
yeah.
metaphor together because it was my metaphor when I got divorced. I got in
Mhm.
my car, put the top down and was like, "Vroom." Like I couldn't get out of the parking lot fast enough because it wasn't what I left behind because I got my 2 beautiful, beautiful children that I wouldn't have, right?
Right.
I'm never mad at a situation. That's the other thing. I think I don't regret. I have never regretted, even if it were like, probably shouldn't have done that thing right there. Uh, but I never regretted it. Right? It was like, oh, I like that a lot. I'm going to do that again. Or no, that was not good for me.
Yeah. I love that.
I'm not going to do that again. But I don't regret anything I've ever done that might have put me in a negative space.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, learning.
Well, I think that that is such a great way to kind of go through life, and that's why I think you've been so successful. With that in mind, and like how you've really helped to, um, be an example of this woman who's sort of arising, and then also help other women arise. I'm curious, like what you think that like women in particular bring to sort of shaping our collective future, and like if we were to create this world of women arising, um, you know, what does that look like? How does that come into being?
And I think this is where Zeffy comes in, right? Like we knew when we first met at an astrology conference years ago through our good friend Dr. D. Um, but it wasn't until I started getting to Sedona that Zeffy and I were hanging out more and doing things, and she invited me to Women Arising. And now we're such good buddies and kinda, like, working together. We're doing this, co retreat together for October in Egypt of this year, 2024, for
So,
10 days, and of course, it's Zeffy that knows more Egypt, things than I do, as her high priestess, but I want to tag along with Zeffy and her guides, um, and bring my group of women to bring her, and we've done that in Greece. We just did that last year in Greece when you met them, and I think that's how 2, 3, 4, 5 women can be 10 women, can be 15 women, and if we have multiple millions of groups together in the world, we just invite to an already
mhm.
solid base of kind of, you know, a camp. like the red tent, right?
Yeah.
Like, Zephy, you would always put us through going through the red tent and cleansing us, right, with a drum. And actually, I think, Kathy, that was you, right?
Right.
At the Women Are Rising weekends. And so it's kind of like an initiation, it's kind of like where you're welcoming people in to this already established group.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, and that's what I like about me and Zephy. And, we've got some friends already that are coming in that are already in our group, right? And it's kind of like we want to all live together, right? It's kind of like, how can we be together more often? I'm in the States, she's in Greece, but we strive and we intend and we plan ahead. Um, but we have to have a goal. Right? We have to set a timeline. We have to have a deadline.
Mm,
It's like, Zephy, let's talk every week. Well, sometimes things get in our way, right? We're both in, especially at this age, this age of our womanship right now, mine is, I've got an elderly mother, right?
mhm.
So I'm here supporting her to be independent after some surgery she had on her leg. So it's like, I want her to be independent. I want her, so here she's 92, and I'm here supporting her,
Right.
right? And so, and Zeph, you can make that we're here to rise our elderly mothers, women up.
And Kathy also is in the same boat as me and you. So
Yeah, I live in my room.
And,
yeah,
that's a good point to make. I hadn't planned on talking about that.
yeah.
So many of my, like, either clients that turn into my friends, um, are going through, and it's always with their mother. It's interesting. I've not had one client or one person dealing with a father figure.
Mm,
So interesting that the father might be either gone or left the planet, but it's women helping women, and these are our mothers, right?
mm.
It's really interesting as I sit here and watch, whatever, the Wheel of Fortune, you know, every night because I wanna spend time with my mom,
Yeah.
not because I wanna watch the Wheel of Fortune. Um, and that even though we come from different age ranges, and she doesn't sometimes understand why I believe in what I believe and why I travel like I do and why I do astrology like I do, but I'm still here to help her be independent and rise up. Um, because you could do that at any age, and that's the key. You can do this at any age. Get with the support of your people, and what you 2 are doing here is allowing people to know there is a group. There
Yeah.
is an established group. And how old is Women Are Rising? What's her age?
Oh my
A
goodness.
while. At least
It's a while.
10
I
years?
think the first one was 2008 or 2007, and then
Yeah,
we keep doing it every year,
yeah,
since then. And,
yeah.
we're
And,
gonna have the co-founder on this podcast also because I it was gifted to me from the co-founder after we did our first one. So yeah, Women Rising is getting there.
yeah, and it's all, it's been international, but it's this what you're doing in this podcast is getting this out to know that, hey, come, please join. We welcome you, right? Like, we want to hear your story because your story's not our story. Our story's not your
Exactly.
story. We all
That's
have that we all have that thumb sitting on us somehow,
Yeah.
as women. But do we rise? Do we arise from that? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's very interesting that you started with the difference of the rising and a rising, because it's about really cultivating that part of ourselves that we forget. We
Mhm.
forget how to arise.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of women need to know how you cultivate your divine feminine, how you feel like you've been arising through all this time, and and what are you doing for helping yourself get to this place?
Mhm. Like we hear, Christ rose from the dead. We hear the things that there's a rising, there's, rising going up, which means a fight, right?
Mhm,
Like
mm.
there's like a political or religious or clan, if we're watching Outlander, like the clans, and this is the masculine fight where we don't want to fight. We want to support, we want to gather, right? We want to arise. We want to just show up and be important in that way.
Exactly. So what do you
Absolutely.
do? What do
Yeah.
you do for your divine feminine to rise? What would be something that you want to share with us? Like how you feel like your feminine part, your divine feminine, because everything is divine, correct? Your
Right,
divine feminine rises,
right.
arises.
Right. So, in a personal space, like when I kind of take my clothes off and, I have a beautiful bathroom specifically for my soaker tub and
Mhm.
all the candles and these like draperies that close up my section of the bathtub and, my lights go off and really I intend to spend one day a week there. Now, not all day, but that's kind of where, and I listen to Sanskrit.
Mm.
I have some of the words printed out so they're next to my my bathtub so that I can chant in this watery, beautiful candlelight space, all by myself and kind of do my song from my heart, my soul. And this is uh, a lady that's in Europe taught me this. And I started doing this about 5 years ago because I'm a Pisces. I'm a bathtub person. I mean, I take showers, but my bathtub is my sacred cleansing and my sacred soaking. But she said, when you're done with your bath, because in a bathtub, you're not like soaping and scrubbing. It's not, it's not what you're just relaxing. It's a relaxing tub. She said, so as you soak and you transfer the water to your skin and the skin to the water, let the water go out and stay in the tub. Because if
Mm.
you ever like always try to like arise, that's more of a rise out of a tub full of water, especially a soaker tub. It's very heavy. It's very heavy and it's kind of you can get lightheaded if your water's really hot. So she said, try this. Stay in the tub, let the water out, and as the water is draining while you're sitting in the tub, allow this water and you're sending all this water down the pipes, all the way, because I'm on the third floor, all the way down into the center of the earth and having that water
Mhm.
rejuvenate something that's in the center of the earth from your source, from
Mm.
my body, from my skin, from my particles that went into the water and is going down into the tubes, into the pipes, and knowing that when the tub is empty, you are now permitted to stand up. You are light. You're not
Mhm.
heavy. You are light. You're not cold, and you've already started making that kind of drying off, where you're not like dripping with wet. And it's this like beautiful feeling of I cleansed and I gave back to the earth.
Mm.
So that has been a big part of my entire bath ritual.
What
So,
a
when I go to Bali, when we go to Greece, when I come to your island, Zephy, we go to the water,
Yeah.
yeah.
right? We go to the water. Um,
I'm a bath person too, so I feel it and I understand you. That's a ritual of mine, and I can do it every day. I
Uh,
prefer taking a bath and a shower. But how? What about the profession? What about in your professional life? What would you do there?
my meditation. And so before I got on every single call that even before our call today, I have my incense and my even if it's 5 minutes, even if it's 2 minutes, where I
Yes.
put my feet flat on the ground, right? Don't cross your feet. Keep your feet flat on the no shoes because I like to be barefoot or sock foot. Is that a word? Uh, um,
You can make it up.
to taking a breath through the nose, see, I do this when I do this, I get connected. I immediately get connected, and when I get connected, I it probably looks like I'm moving to the left for you, but I move to the right. My body automatically um, has learned. I have
Mm.
taught it because we have to teach ourselves things. Right? It's so I have taught myself to connect really quickly, and you saw how fast I did that, but I have to do that all the time, and so that's maybe on a day-to-day, well, daily, an hour to hour, um, practice that I get into, and sometimes if I'm going on errands, which I hate doing, um, I wear my protection bracelet. I have a talisman for protection. I think everybody needs a protection talisman, to feel that are not afraid to go out into the world, that the spirit is protecting us. And when we can feel that, we have more of an open sense to look people in the eye, to make eye contact, to smile. We don't need to wave and hug and and say hi to people. We just have to nod and smile. And I think that's one of the things that I do. The other thing that I learned from Martha Beck, if you know
Oh,
Martha,
Martha Beck.
she taught me this, and I use it all the time. Zeffie, I think I've told you that I like you like me. It is, you say it to yourself when you're in that kind of traffic pile up kind of situation, when you're on your highway, right? You're going in to, say, the DMV and you're trying to pass your eye test to get your driver's license, or you're going in for a blood test and you really want everything to just go beautifully with ease. Uh, um, you do the I like you like me. I like you like me. I like you like me. And what it does is it sends my positive ions to your positive ions, to the closest human being to me, then react my positive ions attach to your positive ions, and we become one bubble.
Mm,
So that automatically our attitude, that that I'm pulling your positivity to your attitude, and things will go way easier, way easier. I've taught my mom to do it, and we just had to go to the doctor the other day. She had to have a procedure, and so we walk in, and I did it as soon as we walked in. I said, "Mom, I like you like me. I like you like me." And we did this. I waited with her in pre-op. She went in and she said that, and she came out and said, "Sandy, I think it worked." And they found nothing. Everything was clear. She didn't have any of the post symptoms they expected. So that I think is another daily practice, Zeffie, that I do that is odd and weird to activate positive and she used the word ions, right? So they're energy particles.
mm,
But if you can get into the particle wave and attach to other particle, their negative space goes away
mm.
or
I
gets
believe
a back
positive
seat.
affirmation. Yeah. I think they're amazing to do positive affirmations in your life every day, you know?
It's,
I I agree with that. So
it's
that's really beautiful. I like that. I like you like me. And as you say it, it feels beautiful. It feels good,
yeah.
you know?
Feels good.
And
And then
it
of
makes it
course,
a welcoming space, where you can actually, like, put great energy out and receive great energy back, so it
right, and
shifts
again,
that energy, which is really important, I think.
and even I'm not even if we came across a scenario or situation that wasn't so um eased,
Yeah.
right? And if we get into we're like, okay, I'm in a dark space with this, and here there's somebody coming at me with a this in their hand, and it's you're not trying to talk them out of something, you're just trying to bring their positivity to surround them
Yeah.
Mhm.
by saying nothing except in your head. You're asking your positive ions to go get their positive ions and attach.
Yeah,
It's weird.
I love it.
It works. It
It
works every
does. I
and
love these both
And
all the rituals that you explained are really, really powerful. And it's
yeah,
just
the other thing is my
yeah.
talismans,
Oh
right?
yeah.
By saying my, each talisman on my website, intentionbeads.com, it's these clay beads that I make at certain astrological times out of Millefiori art. Um, I say those intentions and affirmations. I have several, I have multiples, I have dozens. And it depends like the one I wore today is everything turns out just the way it should,
Oh, I love
not
it.
the way I want it sometimes. Right? But that I believe that however today goes, it's the way it was supposed to go, but I have the intention of putting my full energy into it as I'm needed.
Hmm.
And this one is to show up, this is why I wore this one today. This one is to show up as my true natural spirited self. So I'm not hiding, who I am in the outside world.
I love
We
that
do that, we do that, we hide some
all
things
the
like,
time.
"Oh, I'll be judged. Oh, they won't like me." And so just be who you are, that's what you're the only one that can do that. You're the only one that can be you. So what's the issue?
Well, and I love that because I think you just answered our final question today, which is, your life's journey. What are those insights that you would want to, share with other women that you think sort of essential as they navigate their paths? And I feel like that's so perfect what you just said. Um,
You're the
yeah,
only person, because there's no 2 people alike in 26,000 years, this is astrological, right? That there's nobody that have the same exact, planetary connections, aspects, house situations, signs, and just be you. Be
yeah,
you. You're the only person that can do that,
I
right?
just love it. It has been such a joy and such a pleasure to spend this hour with you, Sandy, and just hear about your life and all of the amazing things that you've experienced and the lessons that you were able to share with us today. And your perspective on how to really elevate women is such an important part of this conversation. Is there anything else you want people to know? And what's the best way for people to connect with you and to be able to, share in some of the wonderful things that you offer?
So intentionbeads.com, my daughter who got me into astrology, is my business partner. And, one of the cool things that anytime we sell anything and I'm shipping out a product, uh, we have a beautiful thank you from a female owned business that has the passion to believe in the beauty of one's soul. And
Mm,
so we had this on this card, and I think that's really important to let people know that, hey, you're a woman who has a business. Move forward in it because we have just as much right as another to rule what we want. But intentionbeads.com, I do readings. I have clients that I talk to monthly or quarterly. Which actually is really where I can help support. And when I see something coming up in a chart, I can I give them my cell phone number. They'll reach out and say, "Yep, this happened on this day, and I reacted this way because you gave me the heads up." Right? I sell talismans there. I do a lot of I Can Do It. I work with the Hay House group,
oh,
so I'll
okay.
be at the I Can Do It. I work with the Celebrate Your Life people and do those conferences and retreats. So I'm doing a Margos Island, Greece in September. And then Zeffy and I are taking a group of people to Egypt October 9th through the 19th.
Hmm.
It's on my website. If you're interested, sign up. We have, we can only take a certain amount of people. We are inviting men on this, which is something that I usually don't attract. I usually attract women, but, right now there's women going on this Egypt retreat, but it's Zeffy bringing in her high priestess knowledge of all the temples that I don't have, um, but I'm wanting. And then Zeffy will plan something else for next year after that.
For sure. And since we connected again, it's been amazing and it's been a pleasure to work with you and to have this exciting part that you are, in our podcast. I was like, oh, Sandy has to be in it for
Oh,
sure.
good. And
Yeah.
I wanted to hurry and get in because, today in the astrological, sky is transiting Venus and Mars are conjunct. They're together
Oh,
5
Wow.
and 6 degrees of Aquarius. And so this holds that masculine and feminine energy are one. And it's not that they're one and they're in Aquarius. So neither one of them. I did an Instagram post this morning. It's called Intention Beads on Instagram, and I'll say something every morning when there's an aspect going on in the sky, and then give you a little tutorial on what that means for you in this day. And today was, in fact, I mentioned I'm doing a Women Are Rising podcast that I chose to record today because the Venus and the Mars are together in Aquarius. And it doesn't, neither one of them are strong, but neither one of them are weak. What they are is looking at each other as going, we are equal. We're at the same spot. You're not in charge. I'm not in charge, but we're equal, but we're different. And that Aquarius energy is about being individuated, to be unique and different.
Mhm.
And so to work at that and to, do that nod of recognition and not raise your fists, right? Because Mars can be like raise fists, but it's kind of like a smile, maybe a wink, and,
As
a nod.
Aquarius, I'm feeling all that. You know that.
Yeah.
Yes, you are. You're an Aquarius, so you've got this energy going on. They don't always meet up together. They meet up once a year, but not always in Aquarius, and not always on the day that you're doing a Women Are Rising podcast. So that's why I picked this.
I like
Wow.
that because I love having astrologers because they know exactly when to speak and the time and everything. And it's amazing because it makes my life a little bit easier, our lives, actually, me and Kathy's. Because then we put it out there and the astrologer's like, this is the perfect time. This is the perfect, all that. I love that. That's life. I think it's not that we have an addiction to what's good, like we need to know that every day. But I think it's also good to be guided like that because it makes us feel good when we're doing it.
Yeah.
So that's what
We
women
have
are.
choices all day long. We have to make decisions all day long. So if you're inclined to lean one way, that might be more helpful. Which way do you lean? Right?
Mhm.
Exactly.
Which lane do you get in today?
Yeah,
Right?
that's great. Anyway, it was just such a pleasure to have you. You are such an exemplary model for women arising in everything that you do, Sandy. And we're so honored that you've been a part of this for so long and that you have been our guest today. So thank you so much.
One last
Thank
thing. I put makeup on every day.
That is
I put my makeup on every morning.
It makes you feel beautiful.
It's I must adorn.
I
Yes.
love it.
Anyway, thank you for
So,
inviting me. I
Thank
love
you.
this. I
absolutely.
love you both.
Thank you for tuning in to Women Arising, where we celebrate the resilience, wisdom, and power of women on the rise. Remember, when women rise, we all rise. If you're ready to embark on your journey of empowerment, sign up for our mailing list at womenarising.com and join our community of strong, inspiring women. To connect with Zephy Devi and ignite your inner fire, visit zephydevi.com and sign up to get your free tantric meditation. Let Zephy illuminate your path, helping you discover the magic and power that reside within you. To connect with Kathy Hartenstein and claim your spectacularness, visit createmorebliss.com and sign up for a free 30-minute consult call where she can help you break through your emotional blocks to success. Let Kathy be your guide on this journey of self-discovery and empowerment. Thank you for being a part of the Women Arising community. Together, let's continue to uplift, inspire, and empower women everywhere. Until next time, keep rising, keep shining, and keep embracing the divine feminine power that resides within you.
You are the Holy Grail, the Magdalene. Woman, no need to search any longer.